Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everybody.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
How is everybody doing?
Alhamdulillah.
That's good. Good to hear that. Everybody's doing good. So, which prophet are we talking about today?
Suleiman.
Prophet Suleiman alayhi salam. Very good. And he's the son.
And Jinn.
And he's the son of which prophet? Yes, Muhammad?
Son of Dawood alayhi salam.
Son of Dawood alayhi salam. Very good. Very good. Okay. Can you tell me when special power that was given to Suleiman alayhi salam? Okay, Mir, go ahead.
He could talk to birds and animals.
He could talk to birds and animals. Okay. Can anybody else tell me a different one? Okay, Muhammad.
He could tell jinns to do things for him.
He could tell jinns to do stuff for him. Okay. Okay, so he could talk, communicate with jinns. Okay, something else? Anything else? More powers he had besides communicating with animals and jinns? What else? He had another special power.
He was really rich.
He was very, no, I mean, like talking about a communication power we're talking about. Like he could communicate with birds and animals as one thing. He could communicate with jinns, that's another thing. He could communicate with
Mountains.
mountains. We didn't hear any story about he communicating with mountains. Yes, Muhammad?
Hudhud, birds and rivers.
Well, of course, that's included already in the first one, that he could communicate with birds and animals and insects, all inclusive. Okay, Mir, do you have the answer? Or is it raised from the previous one?
Previous.
Okay, okay. So he could also communicate with winds. He could order winds to take stuff from one place to another. He could travel on winds. So that was another communication skill that he had, besides being able to communicate with animals, including birds, animals of all kinds, insects, all of those. We did talk about the story of Suleiman alayhi salam and an insect communication, okay? Which insect did he heard or overheard? Yes, Muhammad?
He overheard ants saying that we got to go back into our burrows because Suleiman alayhi salam and his army is coming.
They all got to go back to our anthills as he's coming, and he wouldn't even know, and he would basically kill all of you. So okay, so that's one communication. And then what was the name of the bird that he communicated with?
Cuckoo bird.
Poo-poo bird. And in Arabic, the name is
Hudhud.
Hudhud. Very good, very good. Okay. Then there was somebody in his court that was a human that brought the queen's sitting chair in a blink, right? What was the name of that human?
Jibril.
No. Jibril Salam is an angel. We're talking about a human that was in his court. Yes, Muhammad.
Abdul something.
No. The name of the human was Asif. Asif, the son of Barkhia. Asif bin Barkhia. Okay? And before Asif told Suleiman alayhi salam that I can bring the whole throne of the queen, one of the jinns said that he can also bring it, right? So that jinn belonged to which category of jinns?
The good Jinns?
No. Quran talks about a jinns category. There's a special word. Okay, let's say Ibrahim or Amna, whoever.
There was powerful Jinns.
Yeah, but what's the name? What's the name the Quran uses for those powerful jinns? Yes, Muhammad.
Ifrit. I also put it in the chat so that everybody knows.
Okay, Ifritun min al-jinn. Okay. Now, what was the time frame that Ifrit gave to Suleiman alayhi salam that he did not agree to, and he wanted a shorter time frame? What did the jinn say? Okay, Ibrahim, go ahead.
The Jinn said he could bring it back from sunrise to sunset.
Okay, great. Now, where's this queen located? Which country is there now where the queen was? Okay, Muhammad.
I don't know where the country they were located right now, but she was located in Sabah.
Yeah, but that was her kingdom. The kingdom of Sabah was her kingdom. But where is that kingdom now? Yemen. Very good. It's in Yemen. Okay. And Suleiman alayhi salam was where? What? Okay.
In Palestine.
Palestine, Jerusalem area. Right.
Jordan.
Palestine. Yep. That area. So that's how far they were from each other. Okay. So here you guys can see a map. On this map, that's where the Jordan and the Syria and all of that stuff is right at the top. That's the purple and green stuff. And she was down here in the Yemen, the bottom area, where you see another purple. So the jinn had to go from somewhere over here, from this region, all the way down to here. This had to go across the entire Saudi Arabia, had to go over Makkah and Taif and Medina. So first come Medina, and then Makkah, and go all the way down south. Okay, I am actually searching for something else. So we're talking about approximately maybe around 1,300 miles or so. Around 1,200, 1,300 miles. So even if you go at the speed of 100 miles per hour, it will take you 12, 13 hours. Usually we don't go with that speed. So that's how far away that was. Okay. So let me stop sharing. Okay. Jinns are not that, jinns have not technologically advanced in those areas because jinns have other powers and they have other concentrations. So they do not make scientific research like we do. And jinns are of different categories too. Not all jinns can do everything. So they have different forms and shapes. That's a totally different topic. There are books on that topic, like, for example, Luqtul Marjan fi Ahkam al-Jan, and many other books of that category, which are specially written explaining jinns, and they're like 200, 300 pages books. So anyway, Makkah was around, of course. Remember, Makkah was built, the Kaaba was rebuilt at the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? And that is way before Suleiman alayhi salam. So that's why it was there. So let's get to our today's lesson, and then we will look at questions in the end. So we talked about that Suleiman alayhi salam could control jinns, and he could talk to jinns. And if the jinns would misbehave, he would even punish them. He would chain them. He would put them in special jinn prisons. He would give them very tough tasks to do if they would misbehave. So Suleiman alayhi salam, because jinns by nature are very, very mischievous. They do a lot of mischiefs. So that's why, it's sometimes it gets hard to control them. So that's why Suleiman alayhi salam was very, very strict with them. And jinns are not as intelligent as humans are. Their intelligence level is less than humans. And their approach to life is also very different than humans. So Suleiman alayhi salam used them because they were mighty, they were powerful, they could travel long distances without a problem. They could go underwater and could stay underwater for a long time. So Suleiman alayhi salam used them for different tasks. And that's what we will talk about as one thing. So one of the things Suleiman alayhi salam asked them to do is to go down underwater and look for pearls. So that's one of the tasks that was given to them. Even, like the ghawas is the Arabic word for that they would go down. Even now, like now we use a lot of other means, but in the good old days, humans would go down and will look for pearls and then bring them up, and then they will actually get sold at a very high price. So ghawas is one of the duties of these jinns, that they would have to go down and collect pearls from underwater and then bring them to Suleiman alayhi salam. Another job that was given to these guys was the job of al-maharib. Al-maharib basically means to build castles, forts for army. So that, because that was a massive job that was given to them. Another job given to them was to build tamathil, which is sculptures of different kinds, like flowers, trees, mountains, things of that nature, but not of faces. Another thing that was given to them was the job al-jifan, which is to build massive utensils in which people can eat. You can throw a feast for thousands of people or hundreds of people, and they could eat from those massive utensils. Then they were given a job of al-jawab. Al-jawab means that they were given the job of making pools and ponds where people can, swim or do wudu. Like in the old masajid, if you go in the old towns, they would have a little pond in the middle with some kind of a sprinkler system, and then you would do the wudu over there. So they were like a wudu pond. So those kind of ponds they would build. Then they would build qudur. Qudur is a massive cooking pot in which you could cook for like hundreds of people in one shot. So that's another thing that they would do. And then they would carry them to higher places to hang them. So ar-rasiyat was another job that was given to them. So they were given these kind of jobs that were extremely difficult and would require a lot of humans. And then another job that was given to them, as Muhammad mentioned last week, that they were given the task to build cities. So they would build cities, they would build walls around the cities, they would construct things which were difficult to construct. Suleiman alayhi salam even ordered them to bring massive stones and rocks from faraway mountains. So in the times of Suleiman alayhi salam, if anybody would come and visit the Suleiman alayhi salam's country, like Bilqis did, they were amazed to see that the rocks that are used or stones that are used in construction are nowhere to be found in the nearby mountains. Where in the world did they brought those massive stones? Where did they come from? So they were actually the jinns that would carry them from faraway mountains and would bring them, and then they will be broken into smaller pieces and they would make bricks and other things out of them, and then they will be used in construction. So that was another job that Suleiman alayhi salam ordered them to do. While Suleiman alayhi salam kept them busy in doing stuff, one of these days Suleiman alayhi salam also ordered them to build a special praying place for Suleiman alayhi salam. And the special praying place for Suleiman alayhi salam was made out of a glass. It was a see-through. So you could actually see from outside if Suleiman alayhi salam is standing inside and praying. So Suleiman alayhi salam's death is what we will be talking about here now. That Suleiman alayhi salam once entered into his mihrab, where he would pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and would be there for a long time. And then he had a stick on him. So he would lean onto his stick and would pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And while he was praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he passed away. His soul was taken. But since his body was leaning onto the stick, anybody who would see him from outside would think that Suleiman alayhi salam is busy praying. So jinns were actually working on a project around that place, and they also thought that Suleiman alayhi salam is busy praying. So one of them said, oh, it's been a long time, Suleiman alayhi salam didn't move. The other guy said, work, man, otherwise he will come back and hit you for not working hard. So then they kept working and building stuff. And they didn't even realize that Suleiman alayhi salam has actually passed away. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala especially mentioned this story in the Quran to tell the humans, because some of the humans were believing at the time of Prophet Muhammad that jinns could tell you the future. So this basically is a story in the Quran that tells that jinn are unaware of what's going on in the future. So they have no clue. People have made jinns more than what they are. They're just any other beings. That's all they are. They may be fast, they may be powerful. You cannot see them. That's why they're called jinn. Jinn means the one that you can't see. It's hidden, right? That's why the paradise is also called Jannah, because it's hidden from us right now. And it is surrounded by very lush trees. So it is a place that is surrounded and is hidden from us, is called Jannah. And then Bashar is the word for human in the Quran. The Bashar, or the human, is one that can be seen. That's what the Bashar means, the one that can be seen. And Jinn means the one that is hidden. The creations of Jinn is very different than from humans, and that's what made Iblis very proud of his creation. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to bow down to Adam, he said, Ana khayrun min, I am better than him. خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. You created me from fire and you created him from clay, and fire is better than clay. I will not bow down to him. So that's one of the problems with jinns, is that they feel very proud of themselves very quickly, very easily. They start thinking of themselves that they are something when they are not that. Even Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam met with jinns, and he had a conversation with them. Hundreds and thousands of them accepted Islam at the hands of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's an entire surah in the Quran called Surah Al-Jinn, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the jinn coming and meeting Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another place in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also talks about the jinn coming and listening to the Quran. So there are so many mentions about jinns in different places in the Quran, trying to help you understand that they're just other beings, and they don't make anything more than what they are. And that's basically the problem. Sometimes people get scared of them, oh, the jinn will come. I mean, think about it. Jinns, Shaitan was a jinn. He was made to bow down to Adam, showing that Adam is stronger than jinn. And now the children of Adam are like scared of jinn. I'm like, come on, that doesn't really make sense, right? So they are not superior to you in that aspect. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a much stronger responsibility, and that is to live our lives in accordance with the teachings of Quran and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's what our concentration should be. So Suleiman alayhi salam's story does mention a lot about jinns, and that's one of the only prophets that had such a close contact. Besides Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, besides him, Suleiman alayhi salam was the only prophet mentioned that had such a close contact and communication with the jinn. But again, don't think of them anything to be scared of. Do not think of them anything more than they are. They have been given certain powers that humans have not been given. But remember, in the story of Suleiman alayhi salam, Asif could outrun the jinn Ifrit, right? He could do something that Ifrit couldn't do. And who were jinns submissive to? To a human. Suleiman alayhi salam is a human being, right? So there are a lot of those evidences to tell us that don't be afraid of them. If the shayateen try to put any bad feelings or bad thoughts in your mind, Say La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyul azim. I come in the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the most powerful, the mightiest, and since I am in his protection, nothing can harm me, nothing can do anything to me. So say La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyul azim, or even La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. If you don't know all that, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. You can read Surah Al-Falaq, you can read Surah An-Nas. These are very important surahs. You must read them every night before going to bed. Besides, you can also read Surah Al-Fatiha. You can read Ayat Al-Kursi, قل أعوذ برب قل يا أيها الكافرون, which is Surah Al-Kafirun, Surah Al-Ikhlas, قل هو الله أحد. Make this part of your routine, that before you go to bed, read these 4 or 5 surahs. You probably might already be doing that. Read Ayat Al-Kursi, read As-Salatu ala Nabi, which is in Pakistan, India, people call Durood Sharif. So all of these are great practices. And then when you wake up in the morning, then thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilayhi an-nushur. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm thankful to you that you have given me another day to live and fulfill my duties and be happy and be content and don't be sad and enjoy while you do not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's basically the core and the message that you hear over and over in all these stories, that you got to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that I've created the jinns and the humans to worship me. So anyway, that brings us to the end of the story of Suleiman alayhi salam. We'll talk about Ayyub alayhi salam next time. In the last 6-7 minutes, let's open up for questions. Let me go back into the regular mode. Okay, Yusra had her hand up, but his hand, okay, Yusra, you have a question?
Yes. So is Suleiman alayhi salam's body still over there?
No, after well, yeah. Let me actually finish that part. Let me go back to the speaker mode. Just 1 minute. So what happened that Suleiman alayhi salam was there, and the jinns were under the impression that Suleiman alayhi salam is praying. When certain time went past, then what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did, he ordered a bug to eat the wood a little by little by little by little. So the wood got so weakened that the wood actually broke and the body of Suleiman alayhi salam started resting. So then they realized, oh, Suleiman alayhi salam passed away. And then all the jinns then ran away, and they're like, oh, so we are free. Suleiman alayhi salam is not our king anymore. He passed away. So humans then took the body of Suleiman alayhi salam and buried them. So after that, people started creating a lot of stories against Suleiman alayhi salam, that he was, the reason he had so much power is because he had a magic and stuff like that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refuted that there were liars who said anything like that for Suleiman alayhi salam. Indeed, he was the prophet of God, so he was given these miracles. It wasn't any magic or anything like that. So that's one thing. The Quran also talks about that what these people did after Suleiman alayhi salam. They started, some of the evil people, they started claiming that Suleiman alayhi salam had magic, and we have found that manual of the magic, and we would like to teach you magic if you want to come in our school, and they would charge them a lot of money. But they were all bunch of liars. That's what they were. That's what Quran said, that they lied on Suleiman alayhi salam. And wama kafara Suleiman, and Suleiman alayhi salam didn't do magic, as magic is completely prohibited in Islam, and this is an act of evil, and anybody who does it is doomed. Anybody who makes other people do it is also doomed. So magic is completely prohibited. So it's a way of shaitan. So let me go back to questions again. Okay, so that completes that answer. Okay, let's go back to, okay, Yusra, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
So were the jinns happy that he passed away?
Well, the jinns, because the jinns were, remember, they were the jinns that were like prisoners in a way, because they were evil jinns. They were doing a lot of evil things. And now they're like, oh, there's nobody to hold us. in a prison, so we can flee away. So they flew away. So it's pretty much like, you know, if there are bad guys in a prison and they find the prison door open, wouldn't they be happy to run away? It's the same thing.
Yeah, but like, did he have good jinns?
Well, the good jinns didn't need to be punished. The good jinns didn't need to be, you know, given all these things. So of course, jinns are good. Also, they're bad. Jinns are Muslims, and there are in all faiths. Jinns also have all faiths. There are all sorts of positions in jinns. Like jinns also have, for example, if they're Muslim jinns, you will find among them scholars. You will find among them teachers. You will find among them reciters of the Quran, the people who would be in hadith, the judge, all of these fields that you would find among Muslim humans, you will find among Muslim jinns as well. Absolutely. So there were good and bad.
And also, like, you know, you were saying like how magic is haram.
Mm-hmm.
So like even like, you know, like a magic trick, like a mini one.
So those are
those
tricks.
haram?
Those are tricks. That's not magic. Trick is something else. Trick is that I hide something behind my hand and I'm like, oh, it disappeared. See, it's so people call it a magic trick. They don't call it magic because the stuff is already there. So what jinns would do, they would make things disappear. Means because they would actually take things in a blink from one place to another, and they can do things much faster, and you can think, oh, they did the magic, oh, thing disappeared. And then that's how they will make people worship them. They will make people pray to them, make dua to them. And if nobody would listen to them, they would throw them away outside of the valleys, will destroy stuff, would steal things. So they were that kind of evil things that they would do.
I had a question.
Yes.
So, did the good jinns run away?
No, the good jinns didn't have to run away. Good jinns stay around good people, by the way, you know. In fact, sometimes good jinns will protect good people from bad jinns, and you wouldn't even know. And you don't need to know. Yeah.
So how can bad jinns or good jinns affect us?
They don't. If you don't bother, they don't bother you. But the bad jinns, you know, they try to sometimes influence people. When people are sinning, they want to then say, oh, this guy is a bad guy, so let's be friends with this bad guy, right? Or, you know, I mean, or if they are friends with shaitan, the shaitan's job is to make sure that more and more people go in hell with him. So he will send his bad jinns around to make people put a little whisper in their ears to, oh, do this thing, you know, do this, that, do this, things of that nature that will spoil them, and they will be on the paths to go to hell. So those kind of things, shaitan basically make his jinn army spread around the world and whisper into the humans to do these kind of things. So that's why we seek protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah protect us from all these evil things that they are trying to spread.
So are good. So like are all the maximum population of the jinns mischievous?
We can't say that the maximum of them are mischievous or not. We don't really know. They are in far greater number than humans are. So if let's say if there are 8 billion humans, and there may be 80 billion jinns. I mean, like, their life is much longer than humans, and they are far more than humans. How much far more, we don't know. So it's just like any other being. Treat them like any other being. For example, if you don't go in the Amazon jungle and don't bother the bugs there, they won't bother you. So jinns basically prefer to live outside the human populations. They would live out in
My
jungles.
battery is at 1%.
Say it again.
My battery is at 1%.
Oh, okay. And we are 1 minute over, so that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so does that answer your question? Okay, Aliza, do you have a question?
Can humans see jinns, and what do jinns look like?
Say that again.
What do jinns look like? And can humans see jinns?
No, humans can't see jinns because that's why they're called jinns. They're hidden, right? The prophets had this miracle that they could see them, but humans normally, we can't. That's why they're called jinns, the hidden ones. Since we can't see them, we don't even know how they look like. And they're not just one category of jinn, as I said. There are found in several different categories. They could be of different kinds. So we don't really know how they look like, just like we don't really know how an angel looks like, because angels are hidden from us. So exactly the same way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept them hidden. And that's what the Quran says, that they can see you, but you cannot see them.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, guys, I'll see you guys next time then.
Can jinns teleport?
Say that again, please.
Can jinns teleport?
Well, they travel at such a fast rate. They do not need this kind of stuff that we would to go from one place to another at a faster pace. There are jinns who could actually go outside the Earth atmosphere into the space, and it would be perfectly fine for them to go to Mars. It would be perfectly fine for them to go to Andromeda, leave our galaxy Milky Way. I mean, like, there are jinns who could do that, and they would survive. They wouldn't have a problem. So that's why these things don't matter to them. That's why they never did research in these things. Humans, on the other hand, need to do research in these areas because of our limitations as a human body. So that's why they never build NASA space stations, because they don't need to.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Can magicians and psychics see jinns or communicate with them?
See, it depends. Some claim, but they're liars. And some people actually, can sin enough to an extent that they become so sinful that the bad jinns approach them. And then, then they cannot see them yet. They probably would have to come in a form or through a voice. But that's something that's so evil itself, that, they make you sin a lot to be able to communicate with them. And that's itself is so awful, so awful. So yes, the Suleiman alayhi salam was then, to answer Yusuf's question, was then buried in Jerusalem. Yes. Yes, Muhammad.
I just have one question. Didn't you say that fortune tellers can communicate with bad jinns and they send the bad jinns up to get news?
No, well, basically what this would happen in the time of Prophet ﷺ, that jinns would listen to communication of angels and would come and tell that to the fortune tellers, and the fortune tellers will add some more information and tell it to the people. So some of that information will come out true and some would come out fake, but they were called fortune tellers. But the problem is, nobody can tell you the future. Nobody can be a fortune teller. That's why Islam strictly prohibit you to show your palms to somebody, to tell me to tell you your future, or to go to these Torah card reader people. Islam is against it. In fact, a person who does it is such a bad sin that for such a person, their prayers are not accepted for 40 days. If you go to these kind of people and said, okay, tell me my future. So only Allah knows the future. So you should only pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, work hard and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and wish for the best. But do not approach anybody and say, okay, tell me my future. That's strictly prohibited.
Do the angels know the future?
Nobody knows the future but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Angels only know what Allah has told them. So for example, if an angel is being told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go and and have a rain in Chicago. So now we don't know that yet, right? But the angel knows it. So that's not fortune telling. It's just like somebody knows something before you do. Okay, so it's pretty much like your teacher knows what your teacher will teach you that day before she enters the room. You still not know it until she starts teaching. So that doesn't make your teacher a fortune teller or future teller, whatever, you know. So it's just like, no, nobody knows but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that make things easy for us and we continue to work hard. And that's what Muslim is supposed to do. So unfortunately, if anybody take any other route, then they are not on the right path. So going to these kind of people is strictly prohibited for that reason. Okay. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys next time with Ayyub alayhi salam story.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Allah